Welcome. In front of me I have the VIVO V70, and today I'll be going over unboxing along with a quick look at the device, its specifications, build quality, and along the way give you my thoughts and opinions, impressions about the device itself. Okay, so let's just get straight into this. Now, I do want to quickly mention while I'm cutting my way into this, I am in no way sponsored by Vivo nor any other company to say anything about these devices in particular. So I can be as honest as I want to be, and what you will be seeing in this video is just going to be that, my general personal takes on the device and impressions about it. Now, in the box, we get a charging cable, Type A to Type C. We get an energy rating sticker for 65 hours, cool. A little bit of instructions and a silicone clear case. Let's get rid of the email info from here and then get to the phone. There we go. So, booting it up, we should be presented in a moment with a 6.59 inches of display with a resolution of 1260 by 2750 pixels, AMOLED display, 1 billion colors, HDR10 plus certified, 120 Hz refresh rate, and a peak brightness of whopping 5000 nits. That is kind of insane. And there we go. Now, additionally, you can also see the bezels right here, and this device has 90.7% screen-to-body ratio, meaning these bezels are very minimal, and the phone looks very modern. Okay, now, one more thing to mention about the display, which obviously won't be visible, is the screen protector that comes pre-applied right here. So there is a plastic one applied, and the phone itself has a shot Stanion core, whatever the hell that's supposed to be. Basically the hardness of the display, which for how hard it is to pronounce this BS name, the hardness isn't that great. It's Mosh level 4. So yeah. So there we go. Anyway, here's the case. So it fits pretty well on the phone. And if we move on to the back cameras, we're looking at a triple camera setup. Two of them are 50 megapixel f1.923mm wide lens and f2.7 73mm periscope telephoto. And then we got also an 8 megapixel f2.2 15mm 115 degree ultra wide. Now those cameras, you can record videos up to 4K at 60 frames per second max, and 1080p gets you also 60 frames per second. Now surprisingly enough, as a selfie right here, we got also a 50 megapixel 2.0 21mm wide sensor that does 4K 30 and 1080p up to 60. So, camera-wise here, at least on paper, they seem to be solid. At this point, primarily, it's more about the software that companies run, and at this point as well, most companies run out of AI upscaling bullshit in their cameras, which I genuinely, personally hate. Like, it just makes any photo that is being taken by most phones nowadays be not the photo that you actually took, it's the photo that AI envisions it that it should look like, which something about it just rubs me the wrong way, because in this case I never am the person that takes the photo. I am the person that points the camera at something that then AI sees and decides to re-envision. So I am kind of negative towards that. But in any case, if you don't mind that when you zoom in you have this weird kind of glitchy AI look to it, then it should probably provide you with the decent photos from further away. So, moving on. In terms of the internals right here, we are looking at starting off with the battery, 6,500 mAh battery, which is pretty good for this size of device, and 90 watts of charging speed as well, which again is actually pretty solid. Additionally, the device is being powered by, that is a little bit of a downside here, a Snapdragon 7 Gen 4. Now the processor itself isn't bad. It's a pretty solid processor by itself. The thing that is kind of sad and crappy about it is the fact that competition exists. And competition puts any device into perspective and value as well of that device into perspective. And I'll be showing that perspective in a moment once I'm done going over this device. So other than that, we also have out of the box on the lowest end that you can possibly get, meaning the cheapest price, you get 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM, but you can get it up to 512 gigs of storage and 12 gigabytes of RAM, all options being UFS 4.1 storage type. And unfortunately, if I can find my, wherever the hell I dropped it. Oh, there it is. And unfortunately, if I'm correct, there is no expandable storage. You just have dual SIM support or SIM and eSIM support. Now, one more thing that I didn't mention would be the build quality right here. So front had whatever I try to pronounce there, glass, something. It's basically the equivalent of, like, you know, a Gorilla Glass something. But in a much different name that I'm not going to try to pronounce again. Now, the frame itself is made out of aluminum alloy, and we also have glass back. Or we have something about it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. Glass fiber reinforced plastic back. Oh man, that is like the most long-winded bullshit way to say you have plastic back. Wow. Wow, just go screw off and say it's plastic. Like, wow. Something about it just ticks me off. The corporate bullshit speak right here. Glass fiber reinforced plastic back. Great. Anyway, so that's basically everything that there is to the device. It is a decent device on its own. Not much bad to say about it. Now, the phone itself costs roughly around $500, I think, dollars, was it? If I remember correctly, let me quickly check. Yeah, something along those lines. Maybe $450, $470, something along those lines. So about $470. So it's not the cheapest the device. And this matters a lot. Matters a lot because phones like this exist. So this is a Poco device. Now you might be automatically thinking, whoa, I don't care about Poco. Poco is a budget piece of shit. Well, you wouldn't be wrong about thinking that it's budget, because this phone right here is actually cheaper than what is here. And if this costs $470, this costs about $400. So it is going to be cheaper. That's for certain. What you also might not know in this case, though, is that this is better in every possible way to this. So let me just quickly give you a quick rundown. We also have aluminum frame, glass back. There is no glass reinforced bullshit plastic back. There's just glass back. We have also glass front, obviously, with a corner glass 7i, which is MOSH level 5, meaning it's more durable. Additionally, the device has 3840 Hz refresh rate for your touch inputs, so it's much more responsive. Dolby Vision support, and the only downside is the peak brightness at 3500 instead of the stupid 5000 that we have right here. Now, logically, you usually won't even see that, and honestly, 3000 nits is already, in my opinion, a fairly good brightness for a phone anyways. So going above that, it's not something that I would really care about. As long as it's at 3000, you're good. Anyway, battery-wise, size is the same. Charging speed, though, is faster at 100 watts. Not much difference. Same thing, same kind of thing goes for storage and RAM. Get 256 with 8 and half a terabyte up to 12. UFS 4.1, it's the same. Not really changed here. What changes is the processor powering this device, which will be the most important part. And that processor being the Dimensity 8500 Ultra. It is going to be a faster processor. And I will go in a second into how much faster at basically cheaper price. But one more thing that I did want to point out is the cameras. These specific phones, the Poco X8 Pro and Pro Max, Pro Max being closer to actually this price, a little bit more expensive, but it's going to also be much better. These specific Poco versions are not designed for camera performance. They have pretty underwhelming cameras. As you can see, there's only 2 of them right here, which by all counts is fine. And the main one is a 50 megapixel f1.5 wide sensor, 26 millimeters, and then you got a ultra wide at 8 megapixels at 2.2. And even though there's less cameras and they might not be as great, or at least on paper they seem to be equivalent, I would say, but there's one less of them. Well, you can do 4K 60, and the selfie is a 20 megapixel that does 1080p 60. Now, with the back one, you can also do slow motions at 1080p up to 960 frames. So it's cheaper and does also better in terms of recording. Great. So let's take a quick look at the nano review benchmarks. Now, what I will be mentioning is the Dimensity 8500, not the 8500, what is it, Ultra that we have right here? What the hell was it? Yeah, Ultra. So this is the Ultra version of it, which is a little bit higher end than the non-Ultra. It's just faster clocks usually and gets you a tiny bit better performance. That's usually between like something like non-Ultra and Ultra will be just several percentages, maybe 10% max. So the reason I'm doing that is because nanoreview.net doesn't actually have benchmarks for the 8500 Ultra. So they do have for the non-Ultra. So quickly going into Antutu benchmarks 11 specifically, which tests everything like CPU, GPU, RAM, and whatnot. You get just generally a 71% lead over what we have right here. So that's just like general, more like an average, what you could consider. In terms of Geekbench 6, single core, 38% lead, so that's not that much, but multi-core gets you a whopping 92% lead. GPU performance on the other hand side, which will be very important for gaming, well, that gets 100% increase. So you get double the performance. So obviously that kind of sets a very clear tone on what you get right here for lower amount of money, and not just a tiny bit more than this, basically about $500 compared to this being like 470 or whatnot. You could get the X8 Pro Max, which will have a 8,500 milliamp battery and also a much faster processor, being the Dimensity 9500S, if I remember correctly. Yep, 9500S. So that is going to be that is like a 30, I think, percent lead over the 8500 Ultra. So yeah, that is going to completely clown on this device, and that is roughly going to be very close to the same price as what we get from Vivo, meaning that, well, you get much more phone for about the same price, and you get also much more phone for lower price right here with this. Like I mentioned, this is the X8 Pro that I was showing right here, but you could also look at the Pro Max, or if you want something that is better in terms of cameras, you can look at the F8 Pro and Ultra. These are both going to be as well fantastic, faster in every way than what we have right here. But these, the F version seems to be more designed for photos while sacrificing a little bit in battery. The X8 have moranically great battery, considering one is 6,500, which is the same one as this, while the other one is 8,500. So if I would be picking, I'll probably go for the X version of it, as I do enjoy the bigger battery. So that basically leaves you with a decision on what you're looking for and how much you want to spend. I personally don't really use that much of Vivo devices, so I don't even know if they have anything to offer that would make this device worth the money. Similar to, for instance, something like Samsung, where people do tend to like the One UI that Samsung offers, and some people might also be stuck in the Samsung ecosystem a little bit with the smart things and so on. Here, I don't think there's anything like that really. I could be wrong, but if there isn't, then if you gotta pick one Chinese phone and the other Chinese phone, you might as well pick one that offers you much more for your money, where things go a bit further. And just remember, there's no such a thing as a bad phone. Well, actually there is, but not really nowadays. There's just bad price for it. And like I said, when there is something like competition existing, some phones basically become the badly priced versions of it. And for some reason, Xiaomi here, which I'm in no way sponsored by them, just gonna mention this, I just genuinely believe that these phones are freaking like insane. So Xiaomi somehow is just making phones for half the price of what flagships cost and offering everything that you'd expect from a phone to deliver you at double the price at half of it. I have no clue if they'd even make profit off of these. These are like, these phones are stupid compared to like competition. Compare these two phones. If you look at it objectively, this is a cheaper phone that offers you over 30% better performance in most things for less money. When was that ever a thing on the market? Usually you get increases in price. Just look at Samsung. They're constantly increasing the prices, right? Xiaomi here is like, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to release it at half the cost. Now, this isn't always the case. I don't want to like glaze them too much. Xiaomi is also the same company that released the Leica phone as the Xiaomi 17 Late's phone that cost whopping $2,500. Why? Beats me, but they did it. But again, they do have versions like the F and X8 versions that are super well priced, offer a fantastic package for barely any money. And phones like this, well, nowadays need to put a little bit more effort, lower the price, or give you much better device than they do. And these phones don't really change. They're still the same. Nothing has been innovated here. Nothing has been really added to it. It's just a same shit with a fresh coat of paint for, again, a same or usually more expensive price. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Now, I do hope you found this video helpful, this rant, possibly a little bit of glazing towards Xiaomi here. But hey, if you're looking for a great value for your money, that's why I'm bringing it up. If you just love Vivo and their UI, that's fine. You can go for that by all means. Prices are very similar. I just wanted to show you a little bit of a different alternative that you could look for if you want to have something that is faster and that will, usually carry you a little bit longer along the way for how long the device can last you before, it starts to feel slow. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.